me get to the point. I would cross this canyon to tell someone I love 3 truths about life. Quitters never win, and winners never quit. There's a quote that I rely on quite often at this juncture in my life, and it is this: don't be discouraged if things are difficult in the beginning. That's only the initial impression. The important thing is to not quit. You must master yourself. I've loved the acoustic guitar since my freshman year of college. And for years, I held this vision of myself playing acoustic guitar, folk music, in a cafe. So I started learning to play in earnest just 3 years ago, when I was 32. And let me tell you, the first 2 years were brutal. I almost quit the guitar 735 times. And why is that? I didn't get it. And what I mean is, my body didn't get it. I couldn't hold the guitar right. My fingers were disobedient to my brain. There was almost no communication. It was painful. I had blisters on the tips of my fingers. I couldn't coax a good sound out of my guitar to save my life. As a matter of fact, my next door neighbor, this is a fact, she actually came to my house, my apartment, to ask me to stop playing my guitar. I cried over my inability to play the guitar. I cursed it. Every Saturday when I would visit my guitar teacher, I would tell him that this was the Saturday that I was going to quit. That happened for 2 years straight. But I didn't quit because I knew that if I quit the guitar, I would quit everything. That it was a microcosm of how I would approach challenges in my world. And then at the beginning of that second year, something miraculous happened. It started to feel more instinctive. It started to be a little easier. I started to sound a little better. And then pretty good. And then I would say I won because I persisted. So today, I'm at the beginning of another huge learning curve. Because just 2 months ago, I started my own LLC, Limited Liability Company. And it is one of the most challenging experiences of my life. And I remember that as with all things in the beginning, it's difficult. The time demands, the financial outlays, the fear, the growth. So when I tell myself that I want to quit, and I would be a liar if I had told you that that thought has not crossed my mind several times over the past 2 months. I remember I learned to play that damn guitar because I didn't take no for an answer. And I didn't take no for an answer even when it came from me. And then I remember that quitters never win and winners never quit. So as this has been true for me, it's true for all of you. So again I say, don't be discouraged if things are difficult in the beginning. That is only the initial impression. The important thing is to not quit. You must master yourself. I would cross this canyon to tell someone I desperately love, stop doing what does not work. Look at the results that you are producing in your life. If it doesn't work, then It's not going to work, and stop doing it. This applies to everything, but specifically I'm referring to walking around and feeling hurt, feeling like a martyr, feeling wounded, feeling offended. Another quote that often brings me to my knees, and I feel quite emotional about it, so I'm going to make sure that I am not emotional when I say this quote, because I rely upon it a lot as well, is, and I've shared this with the club before, so you may remember it. There may sometimes be ungenerous attempts to keep a young man down, and they will succeed too if he allows his mind to be diverted from its true channel to brood over the attempted injury. Cast about and see if this feeling has not injured every single person you have ever known to fall into it. So I debated whether or not to share this because it's personal, but I decided to talk from my heart today. So there was a man that I loved very intensely, and we wanted to marry each other, and the relationship grew very emotionally difficult. So it ended, and I was angry, and I was still angry years later at his funeral. I remained angry a year beyond that. I was pissed. But I've heard it said that being angry is like taking poison every day and waiting and wishing for someone else to die. And guess what? He actually did die. And I was still angry. The anger didn't go away until I willed it to go away. So let me tell you what I know about anger and her cousins, hypercriticism, taking offense, holding grudges, nursing hurt feelings, being defensive as life strategies. As practical life strategies, they just don't work. If your goal is to create a life that is peaceful and happy, happiness lies on this end, and all of that other stuff is completely in the opposite direction. Nursing those feelings of anger and hurt, they'll never get you there. And this is the other thing. It's easy and it's seductive to hold on to pain and to anger and to hurt and to get popcorn and to sit down and look at the screen in your mind and replay every hurt feeling you've ever experienced, because science says that we have an automatic negativity bias. It's easier to feel anger and hurt than it is to will yourself to feel happy. But this is what I know for sure. I'm about to throw out a few platitudes here. Whatever you focus on longest becomes strongest. Whatever you focus on expands. Because whatever you look for, you will find. So if you look for reasons to feel hurt and devastated and wounded, and you may be completely justified, you'll find them. But if you look for reasons to enjoy your life and to be grateful and to be happy, you'll find those as well. There are a few things that you can do to counteract this almost automatic tendency that we have. If you pray, pray. Send forgiveness to that person, send forgiveness to yourself. I meditate every morning. So I meditate. That helps me in thousands of different ways. Another tool that I've discovered that I didn't make a copy, but I will share it with everyone in this club. Has anyone heard of the 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz? Have you? I literally have a copy of it on my phone. And the 4 agreements are this. Number 1, be impeccable with your word. Number 2, take nothing personally. Number 3, don't make assumptions. And number 4, always do your best. So in short, stop doing what doesn't work. Don't major in minor things. Don't work, never did, and never will. And then the final truth that I would feel compelled to share with someone I love, if I had to cross this canyon and deliver a message to them, would be to keep fighting. This quote has visited me in many dark periods of my life, and it is, no matter how dark things are or appear to be, always see the possibilities. Always see them, because they are always there. So I'm fascinated by the entire world, and I've always been, and so that's why I volunteer with refugees. volunteer with Cuban refugees. Many of you remember Juan Pablo because he catered the guest day in October. He is one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. So one day I asked him what brought him to the United States. Why did he seek asylum here? So he tells me that he in Cuba was a band director. He is an accomplished musician, but he did not approve of the Castro regime. So he went to a building and he wrote on the walls, "Only God can save us, not the dictator." And for that, he was put in prison for 10 years. In a cell no larger than this, that he shared with another person, with a hole in the ground for facilities and 1 hour a day outside. And throughout that entire period, his beloved wife, he made it very clear that he loved his wife. She would travel a long distance to see her husband for 10 years. So at the end of that 10-year period, he's released. And then within 2 months, his beloved wife dies of cancer that metastasized. 2 months later, his only sibling, his brother, dies as well. His mother, probably grief-stricken, a few months after